Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Race Week. Today, as you can see, we have our livery tier list as well. We've got the same tier list, the same tiers that we had last year. So we've got the best livery since sliced bread, good, okay, meh, and the category that was named after the 2019 Williams, did you design it in paint? Now I'm going to go across these in all 11 liveries, yes 11, unlike other creators which you might have seen their tier liveries. I'm also including the pink Alpine because that's also been revealed here as the number 11 livery as well, as I did last year. 3 races this year, the first 3 races we're going to see that livery. But of course, we're going to cast your mind back 22 days at the time of recording to Haas. In January, yes, can't believe how fast this February's already gone. Now Haas massively improved this year. I mean, to be fair, last year they created that livery in about 5 minutes and it was okay, it did the job that they wanted, but they probably could have invested a little bit more money into actually creating a better livery. But nevertheless, obviously Haas didn't really have any money, and obviously they got even less money because half their sponsors are now left. But I actually like the side of the Haas. I think it looks quite nice. It's a change for Haas, which, seeing some of the other liveries, it's nice to see a change. Excuse me as well. The front is a bit bare, I will admit that. So yeah, if they'd done a bit more on the front, then it'd probably be up here and good. But you know, it's an okay livery. They probably do a bit more on the side as well. And the MoneyGram logo, I don't like what they've done with it. It looks like they just dumped it on the car as well. And previous years as well, they've done work with the Haas logo at the bottom, and they haven't done that on this year's car. So I feel that the base design is good. It's just that they've rushed it to get being the first livery out. Now, one team that didn't rush anything is Red Bull, and if we were doing this on launches, Red Bull would be down here. Oh my goodness grief! We had an American calling everyone brother. I mean, I'm not your brother, for starters. Then they went and proceeded boring everyone for the next hour and a bit just about skiing, rollerblading, things that are not F1. If you want to have a marketing department about all your athletes or whoever you're paying to show the Red Bull sponsorship around the world, do that in another launch. You know, title that looking back at F1, looking back at 2022, Red Bull athletes, a year in their life or something like that. Not present them at an F1 launch where the majority of people watching the thing want to see an F1 car. Now, coming to the car, oh dear, they copied and pasted the same car. And I mean, it's exactly the same. They've changed 2 sponsors that left. That's it. And I'm not a fan of the current Red Bull generation of livery. I think that it's very bland, personally speaking. I don't think it's an iconic livery. I think the iconic Red Bull livery is actually the Sebastian Vettel liveries with those 3 stripes on the front. You know, yes, I was never quite a fan of the white around the bull, and that's improved. But nevertheless, it goes in there. It's just a boring livery that's been copied and pasted in last year. Williams, I kind of feel Williams, Red Bull. Yeah, I mean, they didn't design it in paint because they copied and pasted. Williams, I mean, there could be a saving grace for Williams. by the fact that they've got the little Duracell logo, because the rest of the car is utter garbage. Like, the Williams have a track record of producing terrible liveries. 2019, they did design it in paint. That was atrocious. This is better. Is it better than last year? Last year's livery ended up in the bottom category. The previous two, like 2020 and 2021, 2020 as well, they had less time than Haas did last year to design their livery after Rocket pulled out and ultimately went bankrupt. And you know, that was actually quite a good livery. I'm going to leave it in there, but it's worse than the Red Bull. The saving grace for it is the Duracell bit on the airflow thing, roll hoop. That's the only thing that saves this livery from being in the bottom category. Now, I'm going to get hate for this. Alfa Romeo, I don't like it. In my view, they've ruined the livery. And apart from the fact, I also think it's just a copy that's been made worse from last year. You know, because the last 2 years, Alfa Romeo produced some banging liveries. They've been up here in this top tier for majority of the time. The same can't be said for this year's livery. I prefer the red and white. There's no division between the black and red, and it just looks awful, to be honest. Yeah, I don't like it. It's, in my view, it's worse than the Haas. It's going an okay. As well, I do think that it's an okay. It will probably look better out on track than it does in the renders, but I don't like the way that the red and the black has been put together. It spoils what was such a good livery last year, and it's such a shame that Alfa Romeo are banging out in this way, because in a sense it needs to work. And also the word mark, you know, it just looks wrong on the side. There needs to be the full logo on the side, like they did in pre-2020 and previous years. Now then, AlphaTauri. Oh dear. It would have been better if they copied last year's livery, because last year's livery was up here. At least they didn't copy their parent company and bore us for an hour. It was over in 5 minutes. I mean, it's hideous. It's hideous. They designed it in paint. I'm convinced. They've plonked the AlphaTauri logo onto the side. The red does not work at all. The only thing that I potentially like is a few sort of stripy thingies that they got coming out of the blue into the white. But in the end, it doesn't work well. The sponsors at the front are hideous because they've in multiple colours, which, you know, in the past it doesn't work with the livery. It makes the sponsors pop out, and it's kind of ghastly in that way. As well, I just don't like it. Potential livery. You just start with last year's livery. The red doesn't work. The sponsors on the front don't work. They plonked the AlphaTauri logo on the side as opposed to lining it up with the air intake as well, as they have done in previous years. It's just a terrible livery that they probably cobbled in the same amount of minutes than they did their presentation for. Aston Martin. Now, I said last year that it was good, and I said in the previous years that if they had a green stripe, it would be the best livery since light red. However, I don't like the shade of green, and it's got worse. It has got worse for Aston Martin, because the fluoro green that gives this livery, that gave the livery a little bit of life, has been reduced to a streak on the side. It's got worse. It's better than the Red Bull, I think. There we go. But I just don't like it. I think they need to have a rethink. I would love to see a British racing green. I'd love to see more fluoro yellow stripes across as well. That's what last year's livery had, because it had a green fluoro green bit at the top as well as the bottom. They've removed the bit at the top for this year, which is also why it's dropped from okay into meh. McLaren. Now, last year this was okay. Now, I think I'm not, again, this is going to be another livery that I'm going to get hate for, but I actually kind of like it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not in this top tier. I like what they've done with the rear wing, and they've made the Papaya orange dominant, which is how it should be. The blue I've never really liked. If the blue was black and there was a bit more orange on this side, then it would be it would be up here, you know, because it would look, I think that would look quite a nice livery. The blue and the orange don't really work together. I think they need to ditch that, as I've said before. But I'm going to put it at the start of okay. It's not quite a good livery because it's still a bit clunky and there's still a little bit too much black for me. And this blue bit at the side is just a little bit too big. If they'd made this a narrower and a little bit more colour, then it would have been up here. But it's one of the better liveries. It's one livery that doesn't have a carbon rear wing. Right, then we come to the final 4 liveries. We've got Ferrari. Last year was up here in the top category, and it's got better. It has got better. The only thing that spoils it is the odd carbon fibre blotch, like someone sneezed on it on the side with the save or cave or whatever their called logo is. But yeah, it's got better. They've addressed the rear wing, which was one of the things that I didn't like last year. That was just a plain black livery, by putting the Ferrari work mark there. It just works from every angle except for that blotch. And it's being joined in that top category by Mercedes. This livery works for them because I think it looks good. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a plain black livery, but what they've done with the little accents, I kind of think does work. Whatever colour, the Petronas turquoise blue colour you would call it, that still highlights the car. That's still on the side. They've reduced the red of the Ineos logo to an accent on the roll hood, which I also like, and they've got these little accents on the rear wing. I think it just works. Yes, it's majority carbon fibre. I will admit that if it was silver and carbon fibre, it wouldn't look quite as good. But yes, I think it does work. It's not. I don't think it's as good as the Ferrari. I think it's better looking on the side potentially than the Ferrari personally, but the Ferrari looks better from the front, and obviously the Ferrari has an advantage. It's got colour over it, but the Mercedes does look good. They've actually put attention to detail in making the carbon fibre livery, but making it look good, unlike other teams. Which brings me on to the final 2 liveries, the Alpine liveries. Now, we've all seen this livery earlier because somebody took a huge big camera to Silverstone to the hotel where Alpine tested their car before revealing their livery. And I've got to say, I don't like this. Don't like this livery. I put this one in there last year. Is it worse? Williams. I'm putting ahead of the Williams just ahead of the Williams, but I don't like it. It's got some horrible thing going on, and the blue and pink will never work together. It's just a horrible colour scheme that never works. And you know, they've ruined what was a fantastic livery. The 2021 Alpine livery was such a fantastic livery, such a good start, and then they've produced 2 stinkers in a row. The pink livery is actually better. I had this down here last year, but I do think it's actually better. Well, so I'm going to put it on the edge of okay. Nothing in good this year as well. But yeah, I think it goes in the edge of okay. I think it looks it's not a great livery. If it was pink and black, it would definitely be a lot better, probably good. As well, it's not quite a great livery because of the way the amount of carbon fibre just spoils it. This black thing just sprouts out of the back like it does on both Alpine cars. But nevertheless, I think it's better looking, but what I've seen, than it's a better colour scheme. Excuse me. If it was in black, then it would probably, you know, the sponsors in black, then it probably would work a lot better as well. But yes, that's where I'm going to leave it today's episode of tier list, my livery tier list. Let me know what you would change in the comments below. If you are new around here, please do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 game content and weekly and also occasional F1 IRL content like this as well. Until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your day and goodbye.